From our point of view at Skatema, the issue of transformation, and particularly the issue of the transformation of culture, is really concerned with transforming the narrative whereby people view the business or the organization. Our current way of looking at organizations is really the product of 19th century thinking that sees an organization as a machine that produces either money or gets a job done. The alternative way of viewing an organization is not that it's a machine that produces an output, but to view an organization as a community of people who collaborate to serve customers and clients. Now, this has an implication with regard to how one views a number of variables in the organization, and the first variable one has to review is how leadership or hierarchy is seen. When the leaders of an organization view an organization as a machine that produces an output, they basically view people as a resource that gets used to that end. However, if you ask people to describe the kind of boss that they would work for because they really wanted to, in other words, the boss they'd go the extra mile for and make a discretionary effort for, they would put a whole bag of words on the table. But that bag of words would really only have two themes in it. The first theme would be concerned with the issue of care. So people would say things, I'd work for a boss who listens to me, who is supportive of me, who's approachable, who's kind, who's empathic, all themes that are concerned with care. The second theme would be a little bit more confrontative. So people would say things, if I work for a boss because I want to, the boss is honest with me, gives me feedback, is fair. And if you ask the person what is the benefit to them of this harder theme, they would say, well, it helps me to grow. In other words, if you ask people who they would go the extra mile for, they would say a boss who cares for them and grows them. So if you're trying to transform an organization, you need to understand, first of all, how people experience the organization, what is, in a sense, their political engagement with the organization. And a further thing one needs to assess is you need to understand how people view leaders. Finally, you also need to understand how people view the whole issue of the organization itself. Do they experience the organization as empowering? Do they find that they have enough authority to do their work? Are there too many control mechanisms in the organization? So there's a whole host of things that one can do diagnostically to give you a baseline to understand where an organization is at. And if you don't have a sense of a baseline, it's very difficult to know whether you're progressing or not. So key to a transformation process is to understand diagnostically where the organization's at, and then to, on a routine basis, measure the organization over a period of time. What we find when leaders don't have an insight into these three diagnostic variables is that it's very conceivable that they could be functioning in a climate that has no resilience if the organization hits a crisis. They could also not be helpful to their own leaders because their own leaders don't know how to engage and solicit the discretionary effort of their subordinates. And they can also be working with a business process which is just fundamentally disabling and produces suboptimal results.